So whether your child is just beginning their food journey or whether your child is demonstrating some behaviors that you're looking to change, this video is for you. I'm going to be going over some tips and some strategies for you to consider in how you can make mealtime much more successful and enjoyable for both you and your child. So the first tip that I'm going to go over is essentially viewing what the seating arrangement is for your child. And for this, I'm particularly going to highlight chairs, high chairs, and booster chairs that allow a child to sit directly at the table. So that means no tray table, but instead using your dining table as the place at which their meal will be presented. Having the child sitting right up to the table, just like you or any other member of your family, allows them to feel more included and integrated during this activity of mealtime itself. And that lends me to the next piece. So while they're sitting at the table, instead of you having a packet of food where you're just feeding them, set them up for success of having items in front of them that allow them to explore the puree at their leisure. So for that, I'm referring to such items as like a suction bowl or this kind of suction placemat where you can put the food in. You don't have to worry about them flipping it over. You could even provide the child with their own set of utensils, like say this set of baby spoon or baby fork that allows them to practice dipping or piercing, something that you can truly present to them when they first start their food journey, even at 5-6 months of age. It might surprise you as to when they start taking interest in the spoon or the fork, given that they have more opportunities to explore with it. Another thing you could even consider is having like a small Dixie cup or a small cup for them to practice open cup drinking, just having some little water in there for them to be practicing as well. But the idea behind this tip or strategy is setting them up so that way they can be more participatory in the meal itself and explore it from a sensory perspective, as well as from an interest perspective on what they're supposed to do with this food in front of them. And so that leads me into the third tip, which is, if possible, if time allows, allow them to get messy. Allow that food on the face, allow the food on the fingers, allow it on that new onesie, and know that the benefit behind allowing your child to explore the food is that you're giving them the sensory experience of exposing them for different textures and feelings and consistencies, which will help them be more willing to touch different types of foods and bring those consistencies to their mouths. So the idea is that allowing them to touch the food can help them be more open to what types of food they'll be willing to bring to their mouth. And so the next one that I'm going to go over is essentially viewing your child as your lunch date. So eat with them. Ideally, it would be the same meal, but I recognize that not everybody's eating a pureed meal, which might be the stage of eating that your child is at, but that's okay. You can have a snack some yogurt with a spoon, or you could even just have an apple that you're eating at the same time. The idea is that you eating at the same time as your child, or having your child included at family mealtime, allows them to see how they're supposed to be using these items that we just reviewed. So how they're supposed to use a fork, how they're supposed to use a spoon, as well as the social aspect that goes behind eating, how they're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to do, talking about the food, talking about your day, talking in anticipation about what food is coming to the table. And it allows them, therefore, to build that social script of how to behave and what they're supposed to do at the table. And the next tip that I'll go over is consider how much you're using the high chair for purposes other than mealtime. Although it may be convenient to keep your child in that type of confined seating arrangement while you're doing something else in the kitchen, if your child is demonstrating some undesirable behaviors at mealtime, it can be an opportunity for you to consider, maybe I should only use this chair for meal times versus for other times, so the child learns when I sit in this chair, it's for mealtime. That doesn't mean that I get to do a craft. That doesn't mean I get to play with a toy. That means that food is coming and where I'm expecting conversation or whatever the script is of however your mealtime looks at home. The next tip is to respect the child's cues on when they are no longer interested in eating. So when I'm saying this, I'm referring to them pursing their lips, turning away, swatting at a spoon, maybe grimacing their face. These different signs that show to you like, I'm no longer interested in eating. So although you might want to increase the quantity that they're consuming by sneaking in that other bite when their mouth is open, when they're crying, or getting that spoon in through some sort of distraction technique of zooming the plane or towards their mouth. The point is that if the child is telling you that they're no longer interested in eating, then end the mealtime. And potentially they might be more participatory at another time or at another mealtime when they're either more hungry or more interested. And the last tip that I'm going to go over is really geared for those new eaters, those 5 to 6 month olds. And so really remembering that during that time, a child's primary nutrition is coming through their milk or through their formula. And so the introduction of solid food is truly for taste exposure as well as for development of oral motor skills necessary to manage foods of different consistencies and textures. And so with that in mind, keeping it exciting, keeping that mealtime fun and positive, so that way it's something they look forward to, just as if they were to be seeing a new toy for the first time or going to a new playground. Ultimately, viewing that mealtime itself can be super exciting and that they want to be a part of it, that they're excited about what food could be coming, and the fact of having that family bonding time of everybody eating together.